Welcome, we're back. We're a day late. Shout out to your boy, one too many on Saturday. If you got a keg, get some help. But we're back for another episode. Nice short one probably for you guys today, 20 to 30 minutes. Just a little update. Week 0 is here, KB. I'll throw it to you. And I'll actually let you do your intro, and then you can just start with the Michigan stuff. I think it'll be good for me to rebuttal as a State fan. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, excited for football to be here. Also, wedding anniversary coming up, so really good time of the year for me. We got football back and the wedding anniversary, but pretty eventful stuff. We do have some camp updates for Michigan, some bad news coming out of camp, which I'm sure a lot of you heard today. And obviously, we'll do a small, little, tiny preview of the Iowa State K State game playing over in Ireland. I'm all for the expansion of football. This is the one game that I'm okay with being played at a different site because it's like such a cool experience. I'm sure for fans that can make it out there, but it also sucks that this very intense game, this game that has huge implications to the Big 12, isn't played at a home college site. So it's kind of it just sucks. There's no good way to not play a game on a college stadium. But anyway, Michigan heard back from the NCAA. Sounds like they're appealing some of the criteria. So the what was leveled against them was, I believe, up to 20 million plus in fines. Sounds like it could get up to 25. Some college playoff stuff. Harbaugh 1 year show cause. Stallions 8 year show cause. Moore is on I think 3 year show cause. Which is part of the suspension, which was 3 games, excepting 2 years. The 2 games that Michigan just got to handpick and choose, which I think is still really goofy, and then 1 year to start the season next year. The university is on probation for 4 years. But unlike all the rival fans on Twitter, a lot of places were bettering. No huge hammer, no vacation of wins, no postseason ban, no reduction in title, none of that stuff. So we can kind of get into the details a little bit, but I'll let you rebuttal that part. I thought that they probably punished as much as they actually could. That wouldn't cause a huge court case. That wouldn't cause this to really linger for a long time. That Michigan will mostly accept the punishment that we're given, and it isn't going to be a huge long out thing. So that's where my starting point is. We can talk about kind of the insides, outsides of it, but I want to get this back to you. Obviously, rival fan base implications broke the week of the game that we played each other. So what's on your minds with this?
Yeah, I think we're not surprised. I think this is exactly what we were expecting. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think vacating wins does anything. I mean, the games are played. The Natty's been won. I think, against us, I don't think that cheating matters that much as a State fan because we sucked that year. Michigan was better. I do think in the bigger games like OSU where they knew stuff was going to happen, there's implications there. But it pays to cheat. I mean, if I could pay $20 million to win a Natty, why not? And with deep pockets like both schools have, I think that's not a big deal. I think for me, the big part is Harbaugh was not. He's a goofy guy. I think he could have done more to be better at communicating. Not surprising. I think a postseason ban for a year or two could be worthwhile. But $20 million is $20 million, which I think Michigan is fine with. But it is what it is, unfortunately. But like I said before, KB, I think vacating wins is stupid. It doesn't fix anything. I think a ban. If Sharon Moore doesn't coach Oklahoma, I think that's bigger than games 3 and 4, whatever the fuck they're doing. I think that's really weird. One more game.
SMU, Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not the first couple games of the year. I don't know how you can pick and choose that. So there's some weird things, but unfortunately, as expected, I think a ban of the postseason for a year or two could be good because there's revenue there too, and they won a Natty. So I mean, they're
losing out on the revenue.
Yeah,
Even
but they're
if
still going to play.
The part of the suspension is they're losing out on the revenue. Yeah, I mean, I think what's misunderstood, and again, stealing signs, having that competitive advantage isn't illegal. There were articles written celebrating it in 2019 when current Oklahoma coach Brent Venables was coaching Clemson about how good his sign stealing is, about how he gets all the calls and knows all of them going into the game that forces other teams to really struggle offensively. In 2021, Wake Forest had their whole entire playbook stolen with every single signal, audible, call. It was reported to NCAA and nothing was done for it. So remember, the part of the world that was illegal in this was advanced scouting. Is that he sent a bunch of people to games to get footage on video and then try to decipher the signals from them staring at the opponent's sidelines, right? I believe it was a lot of friends, family, sounds like some veterans that he was friends with that was well connected that wanted to go to games. They said, hey, I'll buy you these tickets if you can record. And again, it was him doing that. I think it was blown out of proportion because people hear sign stealing and think that's illegal. It's inherently not illegal. It's like I said, it was celebrated. And the other thing that's goofy about this all, outside of those other two instances, is that you can take a GA, sitting up in the stands. They're playing MSU this week from Northwestern, right? Northwestern and MSU are playing. Northwestern played week 1 in 21, right? They got their shit blown off. But if they would have gotten all those signals and then traded that, which is basically the same thing, right? They could trade those signals legally to Michigan's guy to have all the signals for their game. So I think that the conspiracy in all this is kind of just like people not understanding what goes on. Do I think they were wrong? Yeah, they shouldn't have been doing it. Do I think that they tried to get a competitive advantage? Yeah, the dude's a fucking psychopath. He has delusions of grandeur. Like he wanted to go to Michigan, loves Michigan in the area, went to Naval Academy because the Naval Academy produces better coaches. And that's where long lists of great coaches have gone to school for. Like that's the level of dedication. He rented out his house when he was in California so he could save an hour drive from an airport and sleep in his car. This dude is obsessive levels of stuff. So is it that surprising that he formed like this really intense group that he called the KGB for counterintelligence? No, he's an army guy that was doing something over the top to try to impress the coaches to have a better job than like a recruiting defensive linebacker analyst. And is he smart? Yeah, but I just the level of buy-in from all this is wild. I still go to this clip and we can end it here because we do got to get to some other things and we talked about this through a lot.
Yeah, we have. NCAA is also Sawyer, slow, which I can't stand.
Yeah, agree. I mean, 100%. But Jack Sawyer said, we ran this play. It was a Y delay screen, or maybe it was one of the tight ends. I can't remember if it was the tight end or Jack Sawyer. And he goes, and they knew it. We had never signaled it. We never ran it before in a game. Well, then how would they have stolen it, you stupid fuck?
There's always one clip I see. There's always one. They call an audible, and then they all do.
It isn't for the same play. Yeah, it's not for the play.
Oh, okay. It looks like it's one.
So the reason why Salians did it is because he went Y delay. That was the signal in from the signaler who they knew was giving signals. If someone went like this, Y delay, what do you think that signal would be for the offense? Just
pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so that's the type of shit that's just coping. Like, and he even said it too in the same clip. Like, he's like, well, the game in 22 felt really close. It didn't feel like we lost by 14 or 17. Well, yeah, because Donovan Edwards had 2 70-yard touchdown runs in the fourth quarter on back-to-back drives. Like, of course it felt close. It was literally close except for 2 140-yard plays. And the last thing, the NCAA was like, yeah, we could have given them postseason ban. It was required that we gave a postseason ban, but we just didn't feel like punishing it. That's them puffing their chests out. Like, anyone who takes that seriously doesn't know what PR is, right? This whole entire narrative, remember, has been controlled by the NCAA, all of these leaks. Tennessee got investigated for 2 years. There wasn't a single leak about anything in the investigation.
I think there's worse
been
things
the whole
Michigan
entire
have done.
investigation.
There's like worse things that Michigan staffers have done in the last 5 or 10 years than this stuff. Like the guy that had all the information on the athletes and shit, that one is probably worse. I don't remember the guy's name, but that's different.
Yeah, Weiss. Yeah, that like FBI investigation, Michigan's internal affairs caught it because a student reported weird things happening on their social media or like email, and that got turned in. And like then people conspiratorially say, oh, he knew this was happening before they played the TCU game. They want a pedophile on staff. When at the end of the day, the investigation started before the game and ended after the game. And after the game, it was turned in and then he was immediately put on hold and then fired. Like, people create narratives in their head that they want to live by. and they refuse to allow new information to come in. They refuse to accept things because they want to be angry. They want to have an excuse for why Michigan won all those games. Like, they had two defensive coordinators, one that's currently a head coach, one that's currently alongside Jim Harbaugh coaching one of the best defenses in the country, and a first-round draft pick quarterback. They hadn't had those things in 20 years since the last time they won a championship. It's kind of that simple. That 17 players, or no, more than that, had 20 players drafted the last 2 years, including 13 one year, 7 this last year, which included 3 first-rounders. Probably 4 if Will Johnson doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
He was playing at a first-round level. So, like, that's what it was, guys. But I'll leave it at that. But I get why Iowa fans, why people are upset, but I think most of it is just misunderstanding what was really going on, because people still talk about they were stealing signs. Guys, it's not fucking illegal. Holy fucking shit.
The way he went about it was.
Fucking shit.
And with this,
that he got information on the back end was probably illegal. He showed up to an open note test with. This is how I would explain it. He showed up to a fully open note test with last year's test that he got from someone who was in the class last year and used that as his open source. That's how he did something wrong, and again, not saying he didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. The levels of conspiratorial cheating that people think they went through is crazy.
Well, yeah, I think they probably all knew that, what he was doing. And I will say, one rebuttal would be you had the stacked team, then you have the slight advantage of how he did it. I know it's legal. You can figure out within a game too. I would say towards the end of the game, third, fourth quarter, you're probably, if you're paying attention, if that's your job, you could figure it out. But with a team like that and the high stakes and the high games you can play against similar talented teams, that might give you a slight advantage. $20 million, I guess, is worth that.
I mean, Penn State, Ohio State, Washington, Alabama, they all didn't know any of their signals. They all didn't have someone on the sideline feeding those signals.
True.
So, like, their hardest schedule was after he left and without Harbaugh. So, like, everyone said, well, we'll figure out cheating if they don't win these games. And then they went and won the game, and then the narrative shifted because everyone was mad. Because everyone was like, oh, well, actually, blah, 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 blah.
I guess the biggest thing as a state fan, too, is Central Michigan not saying anything about him being there. That is terrible.
Did you hear what came out from that? Jim McElwain signed on, like the stuff the records indicate from the Stallions thing is that McElwain acknowledged that he should come and told the quarterback that he should get this guy. He's really good with signals, and McElwain was like, yeah. So like he flat out lied to everyone, which is why he got fired and why that staffer is no longer there.
Yeah, I think J-Bat could do a move as a new AD and get them off the schedule. I don't think it will happen. You know, if Central doesn't play state without that money, they could be gone and done in 5 or 10 years as a university. Maybe I'm wrong there, but they need that. They're
playing Michigan every year. I know they're playing Michigan this year. Yeah,
they
would find just another big
next
school
year,
like Notre Dame or something.
But yeah, I mean, I think the relationship is tarnished, and obviously, I think Haller. I think he could have been a little more outspoken. So I don't know what J-Bat's going to do, but I know the writing, and it's out there. We know what happened. He was there, and everybody lied about it. And I think the fact that it's all connected really adds up for state fans personally, too. But
yeah, that's a fair point, 100%, Quist. And this is what I say. We also don't know what background channels are happening, right? Because they can't speak on open investigation. So they may be like, hey, guys, as soon as we found out McElwain was leaving, like, we fired him, fired the guy that was in on it. Like, we did not know beyond those 2 players or, like, 3 guys, and we fired everyone involved. And at that point, you'd probably be like, okay, we understand you had scumbags, and you know.
I think the president just left, too. I can't remember at Central, but, you know, it's okay. Hopefully we figure I think that's a justified move for Bat to get them off the schedule, but we'll see. I'd rather play Eastern or something or Western, like we're already playing them this year. But both of us play directional schools every year to help everybody out.
Every year.
But that's enough for me on the Michigan stuff, KB. It pays to cheat. I know the way you explained it is pretty good. I would pay $20 million to win a Natty too, so it is what it is. But we could jump.
Absolutely, I don't disagree.
Camp updates. You said you had a bad one. I didn't hear anything. I heard one thing about states, but I'd rather throw it to you and hear what's going on with Michigan.
Yeah, 5-star, the number 16 player in the class, true freshman Andrew Babalola, tore his ACL and is out for the season most likely.
Hate to see
We
it.
haven't confirmed that with staff. It was reported by some CBS guy today. He was pushing for the starting left tackle job as a true freshman. Sounds like he was playing really well. And this is a guy that started football as a junior in high school. So it sucks for like a developmental standpoint. He doesn't get those snaps, even if he wasn't starting, just back up. But a lot of people were thinking that by the halfway point in the season he was going to start. So sucks for him. Injuries like that really, really suck. Also, just a side note, Texas Tech, their running back transfer, Quentin Joyner, who was previously at USC, also went down with a season-ending ACL tear today. So just absolutely sucks. Injuries happen. Everyone kind of feels like, oh, woe is me, and why is my guy injured? It happens to everyone, but really sucks for the kid. Young kid. But hopefully Michigan can move past it.
Yeah, it
hopefully
sucks.
Link. And it sucks at a position that was still in the middle of a camp battle. So, Quist, what was your update?
I didn't hear. I've got a big one, but Nakai Martinez might be out first game, starting one of our starting safeties. And the guy that would replace him, I'm blanking on his name. I was listening to a podcast earlier. He had a whole thing last year where his mom died, and he became like the guardian of his brothers and sisters, which is like a really touching story. He kind of struggled after that, which makes sense. But he's in the wings too. I'm blanking on his name, which sucks because he deserves the spotlight. Sounds like Jack Velling hasn't been in camp much. He's been dinged up. So sounds like he was in pads today, but the next 2 days are off before they start prepping for Western on Thursday. Big thing for State. Both kickers have had groin issues and have not been practicing all fall or summer camp.
Both?
Yeah, so kicking game
Oh, no!
might be fucked. And then I heard like our third string kicker is a Davenport transfer who didn't even play at Davenport. So like we might be fucked in the red zone. So we need to either get
We're
really
going
good
for two
running,
every
or
time.
we got to run, or we got to get a 20-yard chip shot. I don't know. These guys got to stiffen up their groins. But yeah, that's big. Knowing the schedule and knowing our team and knowing the Big Ten, we're gonna have games that are gonna be within 5 to 10 points where field goals matter, and when it's 4th and 5 on the 25 or something. So hopefully it's a kid from Idaho, and then I can't really say their guy's name, a local kid. Both guys are hurt, and that hurts. I don't know if Eckley, our punter, can kick. I don't know what that looks like, but those are the big ones. We had our second scrimmage on Saturday. Sounds like the run game is kind of getting a little bit better. And I think the receiving core is really shining here. And there's some guys that are kind of getting up. Bullard from Valdosta State is a burner. He could run track, they said. Courtney Hawkins said that. He's pushing Crenshaw McCray from Kent State. And then I also read an article about Braylon Collier, who's a true freshman. Sounds like he's doing some stuff too, along with the other names that we've said. So it's good to hear the receiving core. Childs being Childs. Running back is still rotation. Sounds like the sophomores, Tullis and Frazier, are kind of inching up, and the guy that Sac State, Todd Tolliver, is not really. I think he's still going to be in rotation, but nothing crazy. So no major injuries, which is good. I think last fall we had a couple line guys get hurt as well. I just feel like in football, KB, you're rolling up on each other, and it just dumb weird shit can happen. Shout out to State, though, for playing on grass, because grass will have less ACL, studies show. Unfortunately, they'll happen on grass too, but less than turf. But no, things are looking all right, and I think we'll know a lot in 10 days, 10 to 13 days on next Friday, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, next Friday, rolling up early. Hopefully your kickers heal. That Boston College game without kickers seems a little bit tighter maybe if you're not able to just kick a 30-yarder.
Yeah.
But so hopefully speedy recovers of him. Velling. Never want to see guys of that caliber, especially a draft eligible guy, get injured like that. So hopefully he has a fresh and healthy rest of the spring or rest of the fall, and we'll move on. So last thing here, like I said, camp is kind of moving forward. I'll have more next week. But Iowa State, Kansas State, over in Ireland. KSU is a 3-point favorite right now. Really story from Iowa State's perspective is Rocco Becht is coming back. He's started the last 2 years. He's been sub 60% completion or right around 60%, so I want to see more accurate. And he lost two NFL wide receivers last year, and I believe it was Higgins and Henderson was his two guys. I think they were the only two receivers that were both over 1,000 yards on the season. So really sucks to lose them. We'll see how it works. You got the 3-3-5 defense over there going to be running after this Kansas State guy, and then you got Avery Johnson. First-year starter, basically, forced Will Howard out of the starting job. They were kind of fine with him transferring. They didn't have it, and he goes out, completes 70% of his passes, wins the Natty. And Avery Johnson struggles with turnovers, taking too many dumb sacks, extending plays too long. He was right around that 60% mark. So definitely opportunities for these two quarterbacks, both going into year 3 overall to really shine, show their worth. I'm going to roll with Iowa State, the Fighting Larry Keeneys. I always got to roll with them. I like this team a little bit more. I think playing overseas, I like Rocco Becht. It's going to be a weird, interesting atmosphere. It kind of favors the more level-headed guys. And Avery Johnson, I watched so many times where he blew games by just doing the stupidest thing, running backwards 3 times, fumbling, or throwing a pick or intentional grounding in the end zone. Just too many negative plays. Maybe they coach it out of them, but I don't think you coach it out of them first game of the year. I think that's a thing by like week 4 or 5 where the third-year player starts figuring it out. So I'm going to roll with Iowa State. I like them here. Really sucks that this isn't on campus week 1 somewhere. I still think if we're going to do this week 0 thing, you got to stop with all this weird, week of the game thing. Just give me a full slate. Just say, look, actually we're starting a week earlier, everyone. We have 2 byes in the season. We'll end on the same time. Maybe we'll throw in a third bye. Maybe we'll move stuff around to make it so the season ends in Thanksgiving. I don't really care, but I just don't like week 0 games because it's like sucks because it's like there's not enough energy around it. College game day doesn't even really respect it as much. The fans aren't really ready for it. So we got to either eliminate it or start everyone that day, and we'll figure out the rest of the schedule. Obviously, with the playoff, having another bye week wouldn't hurt anyone, which these guys are going to be playing. I know that sucks from a revenue cycle because week to week there's going to be more buys, but maybe we can figure it out. But that'd be my last thing on it. Quist, how do you think this game is going to go? I'm excited to watch football, but don't know too much about these teams, so I don't want to talk like an expert. I really just focus on it.
Yeah, I would agree, KB. These games have a weird vibe. I remember it was at Georgia Tech, Florida State last year. It was a field goal game. I have the same feeling for this game. It's going to be a weird field goal game. They're going to be kind of back and forth. The team's going to make a mistake. And I was going to go Kansas State, but let's go with the Larry Keeneys here. Give me the Cyclones as well. It's a noon kick, Eastern time. So it's probably, afternoon in Dublin, I'm assuming they're playing. It'll be early morning for KB. What a way to start the day out in
9 a.m., boys.
9 a.m. in Arizona. Yeah, definitely a quarterback game to talk about. Avery Johnson, Rocco Becht, like you said. Both are interesting. Could make a big step this year. Huge implications for the Big 12. In week 0, fucking mid-August. This is going to come into play in October, November, which is insane to say. So we'll have to look back at this one to see how the Big 12 plays out, KB, because if these two teams are 1 and 2 or 3 in a game that was played, and the teams can be completely different in 2.5 months, which is crazy. But yeah, give me the Cyclones in a weird back and forth game. Give me a field goal, weird 6-point game because neither team is really ready to play. And I agree. I think we should move it up a week and just go all in and figure out it from there. I think there's more than enough ways to figure it out. You can move the playoff up a week or do another bye. There's plenty of things to do. If you expand the playoff again, just get rid of conference championship games because it's really not going to be necessary anymore because the conference is already too bloated anyways. So that's my 2 cents. I would agree with you, KB. I think we can figure it out, but we're not the experts, I guess.
Not on these guys. I do want to say 2 interesting facts. Last year, remember that Kansas State had the opportunity to go to the championship game. This was the game of the last week of the season last year, and Iowa State ended up winning. But Kansas State plays 10 Big Ten teams this year, but their match against Arizona, because it was scheduled previously when it was
one
Big
of those
12
again this
and
year?
Pac-12,
Didn't they have one last
it does
year?
not count. Yeah, they had one last year too. That does not count as a Big 12 game. So that's one of those goofy ones where it does not count because they have to play 10 games. I thought I was having an aneurysm when I was looking at the schedule earlier today. I was like, wait, how are they playing 10 games? Because I knew they did this last year too.
They did, yeah.
They're finishing out the series because it was against Arizona last year too, where they have to finish out this series. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit on the season. They get a lot of Big 12 tests. I can't remember how much. There's like 13 teams in that conference, so they're playing a large majority of the conference. 10 games against them this year. But it should be an interesting. It does set off the mood, and like you said, there's huge implications. I mean, there could be a blowout this week, and that team is a better team by the end of this.
For sure.
So I am looking forward to this. Usually the fans and atmosphere is pretty fun there. Usually rain usually impacts the game somehow. So appreciate you guys for listening. Anything else, Quist, that we need to add onto this, or any thoughts before we wrap this up?
Two quick thoughts. I think Fresno, Kansas is another fun, interesting game. No, I'm not going to break it down, but there's two teams that, you never know later in the year if Fresno's been hot or if Kansas can figure it out with the quarterback that they got. He's pretty solid. Also, I wrote this down before we started recording. I just want to make a prediction after watching fall camp videos. Michigan State's first uniform will be white helmet, green top, green pants. Mark it down. If you can make a bet, make a bet. Just got a feeling it's going to happen with what they've been wearing in camp. That's all from me. Interesting to talk to KB today about the Michigan stuff. Sorry we're a day late. Dad had one too many beers Saturday and was out for the count yesterday. So shout out for KB being patient with Dad over here. Thank you guys. As always, next week, we'll preview. I don't know if we'll talk early, but we'll definitely have a preview before we go into the game. Week 1 game for me. I'll be there at Western Michigan State. But thanks as always, and looking forward to football being here in a couple days, KB. Thanks so much, and go green.
Absolutely couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, there's a few more interesting games on the slate, so it's still not a wasted weekend, but would love some more power teams to eventually start playing there. Appreciate everyone for listening. Again, any topics, any points, we can make sure we cover those in the bye weeks too. But appreciate you guys, as always, for listening. Go Blue.